I just thought I'd show you maybe the order that we're gonna go in for these, because there are a few. I ended up getting loads of them from charity shops, the books, and they were like 50p each, so that was nice. I wasn't sure what order to put everything in, so I ended up doing one of those random name pickers, and this is the order that we've come up with. So we're gonna start with Midnight, Lola Rose, Clean Break, Cookie, Secrets, Diamond Girls, Double Act, Best Friends, Dustbin Baby, Love Lessons, and Candy Floss. This is the preordained order that God wanted us to read them in, alright? So I'm actually really excited to read Midnight first, because I remember this being one of my favourites when I was younger, because the main girl, I think her name's Violet, yeah, she really likes furries, and I really liked furries when I was growing up. I always wanted to look like Violets when I was younger. That's pretty much all I can remember. She had a brother called Will, and I'm pretty sure there was like this thing about him being a changeling child. It'll be interesting to see how this goes down, and whether these books are really as dark as people remember. So, I just finished reading Midnight, and I really enjoyed it. I finished it in one afternoon. I did most of my reading in the car. It was a really good read. There's not necessarily really a plot to it. We kind of come into it in like the middle of the drama, because like Violet's got this brother, Will, and there was like an unfortunate family meeting with their grandmother, wherein the grandmother revealed that Will is actually adopted, and this has caused a lot of tension in the family, as you can imagine. And like Will and the dad didn't get on a lot anyway, and now obviously Will probably suspects that this is part of the reason, because he's not like this guy's flesh and blood, right? It's really hard for Violet, the younger sister, because obviously this guy's her brother, you know what I mean? And like now she's found out that he's not really her brother, but of course she doesn't feel that way. But he feels really separated from the family right now, so he also doesn't really feel like acting very close to her. Like the exploration of the dynamic in their relationship. I always wanted an older brother when I was younger, and like I remember thinking that Will was uber cool. He's actually really cruel to Violet in this, but I also thought that Violet was a bit of a wimp because she was just like scared of going in the attic and stuff. So, you know, maybe I'm a bit of a bully like Will is. I think something I noticed in the Girls in Love books, and something that's probably going to be a running theme throughout these books, is like these subtle feminist messages. In this book, for example, Violet's mum is really timid, and like her dad's a policeman and he's very strident and stuff, and he likes everything to be his way. Violet makes a lot of comments about how she doesn't want to be like timid like her mom, and she wishes her mum would stand up for herself and things like that. The issue isn't really resolved. Like none of the issues are really resolved throughout the book, even at the end, which is pretty fucked up. Like I know we set out on a mission here to like kind of explore the darkness that happens in these novels that I might have forgotten about when I was a kid. This was one of the reveals that I did actually remember. Essentially, we know that Will's adopted from the beginning of the book, which I didn't remember that. I thought that that was part of the big reveal at the end. But at the end, Will dares Violet to go into the attic, and she like finds like a lot of baby stuff that like clearly isn't Will's, because like the birth date on everything is wrong. Basically, she discovers that the parents had a baby before Will, and like it passed away, like it was a cot death. They just happened to come across a baby that kind of looked exactly like their baby and like adopted it, and that baby was Will. And it's like really creepy and messed up, okay? And like reading about the bit where she finds all the baby stuff in the attic, like it made me really sad. Even though they do talk about it as a family, and like the parents explain what happened to the kids, the parents say like, oh, you're still our son. It kind of feels like a beginning and a step in the right direction for this family, as opposed to it being like a happy ending at the end. And like that makes it feel sad. It just makes it feel even sadder after this reveal that there is a dead baby. The only other real elements to this book are Violet isn't really popular at school and she's like a bit of a lonely girl. That's why she kind of idolises Will so much and like loves him so much and is so attached to him. But this new girl starts at her school for a couple of weeks. She like moves around a lot because her parents are actors, and like Violet gets like obsessed with her, like she loves her. But then it turns out that like Will has a crush on this friend. While she's in the attic discovering all this awful stuff about Will, her friend and her brother are kissing downstairs and she comes down and discovers them, and it's like not nice for her after feeling so lonely to feel like a third wheel with like two of her favorite people in the entire world. So the other thing is the thing with the furries, and like she meets her favorite like author at the end in like this magical chance encounter, and I think it's really great. And I think like he turns up and he's like fat and he's like, oh, you won't want to like dream about me anymore, that you know that like I'm a fat ugly guy. And she's like, I don't think you're ugly. And I just think that's really sweet and cute, and it's exactly what I would have said and thought when I was her age about some shadowy author who I'd never seen before in my life. All in all, it was a really like enjoyable read. It was a very gothic, like for a kid's book. There was a lot of like, there was like a darker feel to this book than you would expect, and I kind of liked that. Like, I feel like Jacqueline Wilson has a lot of like gothic characters in her stories, and she likes the goth style and stuff like that, as far as I can tell. So it's interesting to see that she kind of leaned into this darker tone of writing, even though she was writing for small children. Can definitely see why this was one of my favourites when I was younger. It's a little bit morbid and a little bit dark and creepy. As a kid who really liked the series of Unfortunate Events books, and you know, the only Jacqueline Wilson book that I actually saved from my childhood was Dustbin Baby, which I think is probably one of the darkest ones she's ever written. So yeah, I can see why my morbid little mind enjoyed this. I'm kind of upset that I'm done with it, but and now I guess we're moving on to Lola Rose, which was coincidentally another one of my favourites growing up. So we'll see how that measures up here. Yeah, I'm just fuming, to be honest, because I got up extra early this morning to film the iconic scene Fiction Girls in Love video. Yeah. And I filmed for 45 minutes and my microphone like wasn't working on my phone. So I've just got 45 minutes of me wobbling my mouth at a camera, and I'm really upset. And I really can't be arsed filming it again, but I want to read Lola Rose. So, I don't know whether any of you understand about having limited fucking camera space, but I do, alright, and it's not fun. So it looks like these two videos are going to be out of order, and even though nobody cares, and no one will even know, I care. And I know, alright? So, anyway, so now I need cheering up, and I thought the best way to do that would be to get into Lola Rose. I remember really liking this one when I was younger as well. I can't really remember too much about it. I know that at the beginning the dad is like knocking the mum around and like they have to run away and change the names, and Lola Rose is the name that the girl comes up with. So it already starts out pretty dark. So, you know, Midnight started out pretty dark as well because they'd already just found out that Will was adopted. So it'll be interesting to see how much darker the narrative gets as the story goes along, to be honest. Okay, listen, I'm literally 10 pages in. I know I said it started off dark, but Jesus Christ. Dad didn't even want to be with mum, but she was pregnant. He hits her. He's been in prison for beating somebody up, GB8. Then he got out. Mum's had an affair when he was up north for work or something. It's clearly not a good relationship between these two. She clearly wants a bit of escape. I am going to work when I finish this brew. I'll update you when I get back, maybe, if anything interesting happens. Yeah. So, right, I'll tell you what I was originally going to pop up and say. I was going to say there's nothing that I'm really going to talk about until the end, apart from the family wins the lottery and they run away, and the girl becomes Lola Rose, her mum becomes Victoria, and her brother becomes Kendall. Lola Rose goes to a new school and she gets this new friend called Harpreet. They're making collages to represent their family, and Harpreet is looking for people in the catalogues who look like her family. The way that Jacqueline Wilson puts it is she's moaning because all of the people are too pink. And I just think it's really interesting that like Jacqueline Wilson was like making commentary on representation way back when Lola Rose was published, which was, it was in like 2003. So like, I didn't start hearing about representation until I was, like, in college and maybe the later end of high school. It's about where you're from and things like that. But it's really crazy to me to think that, like, Jacqueline Wilson was just so ahead of the curve right now that she's talking about representation for Harpreet in 2003. I don't know. I don't talk about anything other than that. But, like, I just need to talk about Lola Rose's mum for a minute because she is a character. On the one hand, she's really sympathetic because you can see that, like, she still pretty much just, like, acts like a kid herself. Because she was quite young when she had Lola. Obviously, she's been with Lola's dad, who's been knocking her about and, like, telling her that she's a certain way. And, like, he's not really let her live a life other than, like, just raising the kids. Just really wants somebody to look after her. And sometimes she even lets this responsibility fall on Lola, even though Lola's literally 11. Lola definitely feels like the grown-up in the situation a lot of the time. She's really nasty to Lola sometimes. It makes me dislike her, but, like, obviously preteen girls and the mothers have arguments and nasty things are said. You know, I'm not going to pretend that me and my mum haven't said some nasty things to each other. I'm just finding this read really sad. And I don't understand why this was one of my favourites when I was younger, unless it, like, picks up dramatically sometime soon. Which I don't think it will because, you know, Lola's mum's just found a lump in her breast. You know, I really just don't understand what was going through my young brain. But we shall see.
Hello, everyone. It is the next morning. Oh, shit. Fuck!
Next morning, I've just finished the last 2 pages of Lola Rose because I took some sleeping tablets last night, and even though I was 2 minutes off the end, I couldn't keep my fucking eyes open. I'm ready to give you my final thoughts while I make a brew. My main emotion whilst reading Lola Rose was just one of abject sadness. Jamie's family wins the lottery at the beginning. Dad comes home. The mum tells him about it, and for some reason he starts kicking off thinking they were going to keep it a secret. I mean, they were going to keep it a secret, but the fact of the matter is, he can't blame them for keeping it a secret because, like, he's a dick, so why wouldn't his family keep secrets from him? Has a fight with the mum, and he ends up knocking her around and knocking Janie around. But once he's stormed out, the mum says, right, kids, get your shit together, we're going, because once he started on you, he won't stop. I might let him hit me, but I'm not going to let him hit my kids. So they run away and they spend a while just, like, living in a fantasy world and spending all the money. And then mum gets upset because she's like, somebody stole it all. Lola Rose is like, no, you silly bitch, we've spent it all. You dafty. One thing that I didn't remember about this book was mum's, like, new boyfriend, Jake. And, like, it never explicitly states in the book how old mum is, but I worked it out. Lola Rose said that her mum had her when she was 17, and Lola Rose is now 11. Not old by any stretch of the imagination. Interesting that Lola Rose's mother clearly, like, wants a man to look after her. Like, this guy, he's a kid himself, he's not gonna want to be bogged down with heavy shit. She starts being not so lovey-dovey and the honeymoon period is over. You can see why. He gets a little bit frustrated and upset, but it's still a dick move. The reason I hope I liked it so much when I was younger is because Lola's mum, she really wants someone to look after her, right? And it turns out that there's someone who wants to look after her, and it's her sister, Barbara. Barbara comes, she looks after the kids while the mum's in hospital. She looks after the mum when she gets out and she has to have, like, chemo treatments and stuff. And mum rings dad. She's obviously been scared as hell. She thought she was going to die. She wanted the one man in the world who, you know, stuck around with her and made her feel wanted. So she rang the dad. The dad's obviously started kicking off because he found out about Jake, the boyfriend. Auntie Barbara ended up, like, kickboxing him out of the house in self-defense. And so, like, I think the thing that I really like about this book is the fact that the person who saves the day is not, like, a new lovely boyfriend of mum's. It's her sister. as a woman, and I love that. In all, even though it really made me sad, it was so addictive. Like, I read like 100 pages yesterday and I was like, oh, that's good. And then I decided to read another chapter before I went to bed, and I ended up reading the entire rest of the book, which is like another 200 pages or something like that. It's a really good, addictive read. Spoiler alert, it does have a happy ending, so that's nice. I don't even know which one I've got next, but I don't think anything could, well, I wouldn't like to say anything could be as heartbreaking as that, because you never know, but it was an exercise in anxiety reading this book, and do you know what, I look terrible, so I'm just gonna go. What I'd like to say actually is I would like to see a Jacqueline Wilson book for younger readers. Like, I know I've only read like two, well, I've not read like two of them, but read the Tracy Beaker series as well. You can't fault me, girl. Would like to see a mum and dad in a Jacqueline Wilson book for younger readers that, you know, the dad is nice. It would just be nice to, for once, not have to deal with, you know, both parents being essentially like not good parents. Rosie's mum was like a bad mum. She was in bad circumstances and shit like that, but I don't know, she was like mean and complicated, wasn't she? She's probably a feminist icon. What do I know? But I could probably write an essay on Lola Rose's mum. It's just so sad. She didn't want Auntie Barbara to rescue her because she wanted a man to do it. She said that life isn't worth living unless you have somebody to make your heart flutter. Everyone deserves that. Like, women deserve that, to have someone who makes them feel special, but maybe when people have made you feel not so special, you look for love in all the wrong places. Because, you know, just any niceness is appreciated and is this massive deal to you. And it's like, most men would treat you like that, you know what I mean? It's bad that some women have a standard that's just like, he doesn't hit me. What is that? Anyway, this is getting way too heavy. I'm gonna go in the garage and see what book we're gonna read next, because I'm game for it. Turns out it's Clean Break. So I have a story about this one. I only ever read it once when I was younger. It was one of the Jacqueline Wilsons that was like on my list, because I knew I hadn't read it. One night I went for my first ever sleepover at my friend's house. It was pretty much the last sleepover I ever went to at a friend's house as well. I don't like sleeping in other people's houses. This is something that I discovered on this night. Could not sleep a single wink. Eventually I just got sick of lying there listening to this other girl snore, so I got out of bed. And coincidentally, the girl just so happened to have Clean Break sitting there on the shelf. I took this opportunity and I ran with it, and I read the entire book in one night when I should have been sleeping. And then obviously, like, they want you to get up early in the morning and hang about in your pyjamas for hours before your mum comes and gets you. And I was like, no, please ring Karen, I need her to come and get me and take me to bed. What can I remember about Clean Break? I think it's some occasion like Christmas at the beginning, and then like the oldest daughter, who I guess is M, finds out that dad is having an affair, and dad ends up getting kicked out. I can't remember where the narrative goes from there, really, and I definitely can't remember this time how it ends. I'm gonna do it. So I've pretty much nearly finished Clean Break. You know, I'll talk about the plot and stuff at the end because it's not all that complicated, but I just want to take a minute right now before we go to the book signing. If you know, you know. There's been this character throughout the book, right, called Jenna Williams. Coincidentally, the same initials as Jacqueline Wilson. They reference some of her books. There's one that's clearly meant to be The Suitcase Kid, which I think they call Piggy in the Middle. That's about like a girl who goes between two parents. And right now they're talking about teens on a diet, which is clearly girls under pressure. And I absolutely love it. It's just so blatant, this like self-insert author. And like I remember, I know there's a picture coming up, and the picture is just the way that Nick Sharris presents her. It's so weird as well, because like this is bringing back all kinds of memories of like being a preteen and getting magazines from the shop There was those little comics in them, right? And the girls used to get into a different adventure each week. And I remember, like, Jacqueline Wilson was definitely in one of those comics. And the character looked exactly like the character in this illustration. Anyway, I just love it. I just low-key love it. Like, put your self-insert writer character into your book. I absolutely love it. Why not? There she is. Girl, there she is. It's so sick. There was one called the Victorian Project as well. And that's obviously the Lottie Project. Which is, like, I remember it because it's literally there. Like, don't ask me why I know what the layout of that book looks like, but I do. Still have so many of these books to read, man. The fictional kids in the Jacqueline Wilson books have read more Jacqueline Wilson than me. It's disgusting. I'm having more fun with this one than the last one, even though it is still pretty heavy subject matter, like the parents divorcing and stuff like that, but there's a lot more, like, there's a lot more fun to this one. There's not, like, this overhanging dread that was in Lola Rose that the dad was just gonna come and beat everybody up any second. You actually kind of want the dad to turn up in this one, because that would, like, make everybody feel better, but, you know, the mum did say she wanted a clean break. That was a really insensitive thing to say. I'm not gonna fucking round it off there. That was a joke. The guy should make an effort to see his fucking children. We know this, alright? It's not the mum's fault for saying something in anger. I'm gonna get back to reading this anyway. I'm probably gonna go to bed soon, so I don't think I'll finish it tonight. But you never know.
I've just been in the shop. It started raining. It's boiling outside, so it smells amazing. Yeah, but before I left, I finished Clean Break. I like Clean Break. I think it was a nice, pleasant story, even though there were still some heavy themes. I like that we're going to end this video on kind of a positive note. That's nice. Starts out on Christmas Day and they're having a really nice Christmas. And then Emily discovers her dad in the kitchen having a phone call with what appears to be his girlfriend, and he says he's gonna leave the family. We can infer from the ensuing argument between mum and dad that this isn't the first time this has happened, but this is the first time he's thought that he's been, like, in love with another woman and that he's gonna leave them, and then he leaves on the night. He said he wanted to give them a good Christmas before he left, you know, so they'd have something positive to remember him by, and I think that's pretty fucked, but it's really in keeping with his character, because he's, like, this, like, immature guy. Something that I like about this book as well is that, like, Frankie is a good dad, like, as far as, like, looking after the kids and stuff, he is, like, competent, and you can tell that, like, he loves them and cares for them. He does a bit of a dick move over the course of this story, obviously, by leaving them on their own. He had his own insecurities going on. I suppose if, you know, his wife and kids are going to forgive him, I can forgive him as well, because it's not really my place. So the rest of the book is kind of the kids and mum, and also Gran, who they lived with, dealing with Frankie leaving. The mum and the kids want him back, but Gran never really liked him, and she never really liked the fact that he would, like, mess her daughter about and stuff like that. It's not about what mum thinks, is it? Mum essentially spends the entire book moping for dad to come back as well. It's nice. I like it. I'm so, like, if somebody cheated on me, I would be so fuming that I might commit, but, like, I love stories about, like, when people cheat and, like, they come back from it stronger. When somebody has genuinely made a mistake, it's nice to hear about it not ruining their fucking lives. And it's left ambiguous at the end whether he and mum are ever going to get back together or what. So, you know, maybe she's not going to take him back and just forgive him for all of his sins. But you never know. Us women, you know. Bless us. I really have a lot more to say. It's a pretty concise story, really. There's not much going on in it. It's just about how the kids are dealing with their dad leaving, and it's not good. Like, there's this heartbreaking bit where the little kid, Maxie, is, like, writing his dad letters on toilet paper secretly.
and like posting them down the letterbox, not understanding that like you need a stamp and an envelope. Doesn't even know where his dad lives or what the address is. Oh, bless him. I really like Emily as a character. She's a little bit cheeky, but mostly she's just like smart and kind, and she likes looking after the younger kids. There's like, not every Jacqueline Wilson character is the same. I would never say that. I would never claim that. You know, she's not this unoriginal, uninspired writer. However, they all kind of do have commonalities, right? Like, there's an outlier every now and again, but, you know, mostly they're bad at maths, mostly they have body image issues because they're a little bit on the chubby side. Mostly they like doing something creative like art, collage, or writing in Emily's case. I feel that even if, you know, I kind of agree with Gran in that, you know, Emily's mum shouldn't take Frankie back, it's definitely, she definitely needs to like allow him back into the kids' lives, because their little family is really cute and I love the little dynamic that they've got going. And, you know, I love the fact that there was a dad in this one who wasn't a total shit and who knew what to do with his little girls. And as well, like, a big point in Frankie's favour is that he, like, loves Em just as much as he loves the other two kids. And obviously Em is from a previous relationship of her mum's. There's never a moment in the text where she like doubts that he loves her just as much as his own two kids, and it just warms my little cockles, you know. This was the last one I was going to do. I'm going to do them in threes. This has been a nostalgic reads, I guess. And do you know what? If you haven't picked up a Jacqueline Wilson in a while, I definitely recommend it. I was talking to my mates about it last night, and it's like, she must just be a really good writer. Like, I knew it. I knew she was good. I know she's good, right? Everyone knows she's good. But surely I couldn't pick up a book from any other author for this grade and be quite so involved and have it be quite so addictive as it actually is. Lola Rose was the most addictive though, I'm not gonna lie. I don't know whether that's because I'm a morbid son of a bitch. But there you go. I'm gonna let you get off and I'm gonna drink my brew and we'll see what book we're gonna read next, right? Bye.